I'm Chef Jasper, and today we are in the kitchen making one of my favorite dishes of all time, something my grandmother taught me to make, gnocchi. That's right, what are gnocchi? Little Italian dumplings. It comes from the word knot in the wood, K-N-O-T, in the wood. I brought Nana's gnocchi wooden board here. Look at this. This is pretty old, let me tell you. And see these little lines, those are little knots, and you roll the dough if you want to get the little lines. Why do you have the lines in the gnocchi? It adheres, the sauce will adhere to the gnocchi a little bit better. But we're talking dumplings because, you know, every country, they love to make these dumplings. Whether it be Asia, you know, it doesn't matter. Well, the Italians come up with this dumpling, and it's not just for soup, even though you could use it for soup. But you have to start off with potatoes. I use a nice potato, which we already boiled, okay? And we don't want it too soft. We want it still a little firm. Look at this. Okay, just like that here. I'm going to put a couple of these in here. Now, here's the problem with this recipe. What size? I don't know what size to tell you. Buy a large potato. You're going to have to adjust the flour to. So I'll tell you that right now. So let's just mash. You see how little firm that is? You could put these in a ricer, or you could just mash it by hand like I'm doing here. We do not want any lumps in this, I'll tell you right now. And just to make sure, after I mash this, and this just takes a couple of seconds here, not a lot of time, we will go over this one more time and kind of feel through everything. There we go, that's all I need to do. And now when I say we're going to feel it, we'll kind of mash them one more time, just like this right here. Make sure it's nice and almost like creamy style. But look, these are firm. They're not watery. Look at this. That's what you want to do. You want to make sure it's like that. We're going to add a whole egg to this. Now here we go again, you know, different size eggs. These are just, you know, a regular egg, but it's going to be pretty moist right now. Now we have to have salt for flavoring. Okay, a lot of people ask me questions all the time. What type of potato? I love sweet potato gnocchi. Oh my gosh. My Nana would make a sweet potato gnocchi. Just so delicious. Here we go. This is our base. We're building layers. And now we start adding the flour. But I'm going to do something different. Look, I added half the flour in here in the mix. Just like this right here. Kind of incorporate as much as I can. Now, if you've seen other chefs cook this before on the wooden board, yes, it looks beautiful. Oh, that's so cool to watch them prepare the actual pasta dough or gnocchi dough on the board, but you really need to mix it in a bowl at the beginning, just like I'm doing here. Now we have almost about, well, I'd say half the flour in here. It's still nice and moist. Add a little more salt if you want to. That's up to you. At this point, we put it on the board, and I'm going to add as much flour as I need at a time and incorporate it in this. And it starts absorbing, those potatoes absorb that flour. But look at this. And I'm going to use that flour, don't worry, because I'm going to roll this out on the same board. And I can still feel it. This takes maybe a couple of minutes. Unlike, you know, dough, if we're making a pizza dough or a bread dough, here's the thing. The more you work the dough, you know, you can really break down certain elements of the dough. Don't worry about this. This is potatoes, so it's not going to make it tougher. It's not going to make it drier. If you think your dough's too dry at this point, go ahead, have a little bowl of water, and just kind of splash it in your hand and add it. But look here. Here's my kind of secret. Look at this. It's moist in the middle at this point. Add more flour. Folding over and under. Try to keep as much as you can on the board. Make sure you have all the potato on this board. And see, I'm not going to use as much flour as I originally thought, so you may need to adjust the recipe. I can't give you the exact amount, depending on the potatoes. Then I start kind of, look at this, kind of squishing the dough with my hands. Kids love to make gnocchi. Oh my gosh. Get the family together, make gnocchi, have a gnocchi night. Takes 15 minutes, that's all. Now it's pretty moist, so I flatten it out. I fold it this way. I incorporate that flour again. And look what happens. I pick up that flour. We don't want any big knots. Now we said knot because that's what gnocchi means, little knots, little dumplings. And here we go, that's it. Now, I'll bring all this dough together, kind of pat it down. I have the flour on my board. You see, I didn't use all that flour I thought I would use. And we're going to cut this and divide it into 4 pieces at this point. That's it, just like that. Now, just let me get a knife and I'll cut this. Just let me cut this into 4 pieces. Put that aside. It's a little wet. You see, I have the flour on the board. Now, come on, watch how easy this is to prepare. And let's just start rolling. There we go. Make sure it's nice and firm. Continue to roll to the desired thickness. I think that's just about right. Oh yeah, I like it. And now we're going to cut it. There we go. I kind of like them a little bit thinner. I don't want to bite into something that's kind of doughy, but I want them as consistent as can be. At this point, we're going to cut them. Now, a lot of chefs, a lot of grandmothers will actually just cut the gnocchi and drop them in the water, or of course, make a little notation, a little marking on them. If you don't have Nana's little wooden board, just get a fork, the tines of the fork. We're just going to kind of roll it right along here. Look at this. There we go. See those little marks on there? If you want more on the outside, you could do that also. How simple is that? Or get the gnocchi and just kind of roll them right on here. Look at that. Oh yeah, absolutely perfect. Just like Nana used to make. It's fun to do this. And make sure you always wear a pair of gloves, of course. How easy was that? Seriously? Flour, egg, salt, potato. We're going to put them in some boiling water, and then I'm going to make 2 sauces that are so easy, you're not going to believe it. I guarantee you. So now we just get these gnocchi in boiling water. How about this? And while they're boiling, they come to the top so quickly. I would say maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Then I let them float a little bit. You don't want to overcook them, of course. That's enough for, a few people. Let's get some butter. Put the butter in the frying pan. Some sage. Break that sage because you want to kind of get the perfume off this. Put it in the frying pan here and just let this cook down just for a few minutes. Not a lot. We do want to actually not burn the butter. We want a brown butter sauce. And here we go. How simple and delicious. A few ingredients. I think Nana would be proud of me. Brown butter and sage gnocchi. Something I would be proud to serve my family. And now we're going to make a sauce. I call it a pesto, but really it's a summer tomato pesto. Yes, I put tomatoes in my pesto. Of course, we have to start off with a lot of basil, some parsley, some garlic, okay? Pistachios, extra virgin olive oil. Don't be shy. Let's put the lid on this. That's enough kind of just to mix up a little bit. We're going to add our tomatoes. Some grated cheese. A pinch of red pepper. A little more salt. And of course, the rest of the olive oil. Put this on the blender for about a minute or so. And that is it. Oh, look at that. Just look at this. Now, put it in the... Now just put it in the pan. And of course, we're going to boil the rest of these gnocchi. This won't take but a couple of minutes. Let them come to the top. And we're going to have another delicious dish that takes just a few minutes. But I love summer pestos. It just doesn't have to be basil. This is more of a Sicilian style because you noticed I added pistachios in there instead of pinoli nuts. Oh, it's perfect. But be creative. You have other herbs in your garden, almost like a salsa verde. I have a friend who actually makes a sauce. In Sicily, we talk about cucina povera, the cuisine of the poor. And they would put bread in the blender with that and maybe a little red wine vinegar. That's more like a salsa verde, like I said. The sauce does not take long at all to warm up. We don't want to really cook it down. It's a pesto, but I do want to give it just a little temp. Notice I left the pistachios a little chunky in there. Let's get these gnocchi. Strain them again. Put them right on your serving plate. A dish everyone's going to love. Put a little bit of sauce right on top. Oh my. Maybe some raw tomatoes on top of this. That's always nice. Spread it around a little bit. Top it with a little bit of grated cheese. A pinch of red pepper. And then I always like to finish with a little drizzle of olive oil right on top. And there you have it. 2 versions of gnocchi, one with my favorite sauce, a pesto Sicilian style, and of course, brown butter and sage. Homemade gnocchi with 2 different sauces. I would be proud to serve my family. Brought to you by Hen House Markets.